Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the big stories behind the numbers. And today, we're looking at India's economy, which, well, it seems to be hitting the gas and the brakes at the exact same time.
So, let's start with the big, flashy number everyone's talking about. India's economy just clocked an 8.2% GDP growth rate. That's the fastest it's been in 6 quarters, and it blew past all the forecasts. Just incredible momentum.
And it's not just the overall economy. The stock market is absolutely buzzing. We're looking at what could be a record-breaking month, with new companies gearing up to raise something like 30,000 crore rupees.
The good news just keeps coming. It's not just about new companies, either. Big players are making moves. Corporate deals in the last quarter hit $44.3 billion. That's the highest we've seen in more than a year.
Okay, so let's put this all together. When you look at the headlines, the picture seems crystal clear, right? It just screams economic boom.
I mean, just look at the evidence. You've got that monster 8.2% GDP growth, corporate deals at a 6-quarter high, a record-breaking month for new company listings. It all points in one direction. This is that glass half full view, and right now, that glass looks really full.
But this is where things get, well, interesting. Some of the sharpest minds looking at this, like Radhika Rao from DBS Bank, are saying, hold on a second. Her take really nails the big question here. Is that glass half full, or is it half empty?
All right, so let's do just that. Let's pop the hood and see what's really going on with this engine, because the shiny paint job on the outside might not be telling the whole story. And this is where you see the puzzle in black and white. How on earth can you have GDP roaring ahead at 8.2% and then have industrial production basically flatline, 0.4%, the very next month? That's the lowest it's been in 14 months. These two numbers just don't seem to belong in the same economy.
So, what's going on here? Well, it really comes down to what these numbers are measuring. Think of GDP as the big annual checkup. It tells you the overall health, but the results take a while. The index of industrial production, on the other hand, is like a heart rate monitor. It gives you a real-time, up-to-the-minute reading of the economy's pulse.
And it gets even trickier. A lot of economists are pointing out that the way we calculate inflation might be skewing that big GDP number. They're calling it a statistical distortion, which is basically a fancy way of saying the math might be making things look a bit rosier than they actually are on the ground.
And this slowdown in the factories, it's not just one thing. It's really like a perfect storm of issues hitting all at once. You've got key sectors slowing down, people holding off on big purchases, new tariffs starting to bite, and yep, even the weather is playing a part. It's complicated.
So with all this conflicting data, you've got to ask, what do you do? This leads us straight to the biggest debate happening in India's financial circles right now.
And look, this isn't just some abstract economic debate. The answer to this question, should the central bank cut interest rates, has real-world consequences for pretty much everyone. We're talking about your loan payments, your savings, the job market. It is a massive deal.
And you can see why it's such a tough call. The folks arguing for a rate cut have a pretty strong case. Inflation is practically zero. Plus, the weak factory numbers suggest the economy could use a little boost. But then the other side says, whoa, hold on. GDP growth is booming at over 8%. The economy is strong, let's not overheat it. Both sides have a really solid point.
So who's going to win this debate? Well, if you ask the experts, the verdict is pretty overwhelming. A recent poll showed that a whopping 85%, that's 17 out of 20 economists, are betting that the RBI will cut rates.
But, and this is a big but, it is not a slam dunk. You have some pretty heavy hitters, like the Bank of Baroda, arguing that the RBI is going to play it safe. Their thinking is that the central bank will look at that super strong GDP number and decide, you know what, let's wait and see.
Okay, so what happens next? Where does all this uncertainty leave one of the fastest growing economies on the planet?
All right, let's boil this all down. What you really need to know is this. India's economy is sending some seriously mixed signals. You have this incredible headline growth, but at the same time, some real weakness bubbling just under the surface. This has put the central bank in a really tight spot, and that's why their upcoming interest rate decision on December 5th is one of the most watched economic events in a long, long time. And it really leaves us with this big question to think about. Is all this complexity, all these mixed signals, just a sign of a massive economy growing up and maturing? Or is it a warning sign that there might be some turbulence just ahead?
Hey, if this helped you make sense of this really complex story, do us a favor and hit that like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more deep dives just like this. And we really want to know what you think. Drop a comment below. Should the RBA cut rates or hold? Let's talk about it.